welcome back, guys. We're going to do. All right, welcome back, guys. We're going to go ahead and finish up on where we started. We did notice there was some significant damage to the cylinder head cap or the camshaft cap. Pretty moderate wear, and we have spalling on both the intake and exhaust journals. Looks a little bit more significant on the intake cam journals. We have like a little ridge right there. So I'm almost thinking I might have to just sand that down ever so lightly. Oh, wow. Even on the exhaust too. This cylinder head is pretty much, I'm going to say the cylinder head's pretty much junk. I'm going to have to just lightly deburr these surfaces here. Or I don't think the camshaft cap's going to fit on. Maybe that's why it wasn't really popping off either. There's those burrs kind of holding in place. But let's see what we got in the chat. Looks like we got nobody in the chat thus far. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and measure our shims here and just kind of see where we're at. Got our fancy Mac Tools micrometer right here. Okay, so if I'm reading this, we got 120 thousandths. Let's see what this one is. I like to wipe off any oil or anything. Looks like same thing, about 120 thousandths on this one as well. So we'll just go ahead and mark that down. That's for our intake cam. So these shims right here, about 120 thousandths. All right, let's go ahead and measure the exhaust. Wipe off the shim. So these ones right here, a little less. So about 116, 17, 118 and 3/10. Let's go ahead. 118. Let's check this one. Same thing, 118. 118 and 4/10. So these are almost all using the same shims. These are, the exhausts are slightly thinner. So almost in theory, if you wanted to, you could take these, in our particular situation, you could take these exhaust shims here and move them right here, and that would pretty much that would bump up both of these. I mean, at least on your left intake valve, it would put you closer than the 7 thousandths, and you still have a little wiggle room. As long as the 7 thousandths gets under there and not an 8, you should be good. And then on our right intake valve, the one that looks like it had more damage and it was a tighter clearance there, you'd actually want to go a little bit more, probably 3 to 4 thousandths if you can. So I'm going to go ahead and take some shims here. Take some shims, and I have mine's covered with oil just so they don't like rust or anything. Let's see. A 230. I can't read the numbers that are on the original shim, but dang, I sprayed these in Cosmoline like a couple years ago, so it's like, so I don't do valve adjustments all the time, but when I do, it's nice to have them. And yeah, let's just wipe the top of this. See if it's like a 230. No, it's gonna be a lot thicker. So it's gonna be like try like a what is this, 305? So this one's actually just a little, that's like 121 thousandths, almost 122 thousandths. So shoot, let's see, 295. I got a bunch of these 295 shims right here. Let's see what a this is actually a 290. So that's 115. So that'd put us at like 8 thousandths. That'd be a little too much. So I need like a 216. So like this is a 290. I need like a 295, which is, I don't have any in that kit. Let me pull out my other kit. See if I have any 295s, which I should, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go, 295. So I got like one left. Take a look. So this is like a 216, almost a 217. No, it's about 217. Or 216 and 7/10. So you could almost put that on this one right here and you'd probably be good. It's 290. So that's what is that? A 295. And then probably want to only go 2000, so 118. This is oh yeah, these are 120s. It's about 118. So in theory, you put a 118 there, that's 2 thousandths less than 120. It should give us a 7 thousandths clearance there, which should be good. And then this one right here is a 116, about 4 thousandths less. That should give us about 7 thousandths gap right there, which should be good. And then on our exhaust, let's go ahead and do some on our exhaust now. So we're at 118 and 6 thousandths. So we need to go about 3 thousandths over. So that'd be like a 115. I think that's what the 290s were. So let's see. I got some 290s right here. Oop. That's about 115. So we'll go with 290s on that one. Whoa. Trying to wipe off the Cosmoline. Okay. So we got a 290 right here. Let's see. Okay, now we got the shims that we would want. We got 290 and 290 for the exhaust, and then I'm not sure exactly what the millimeter on this one is, but we got a 295 here on the intake, and then we also have a whatever this would be, but let's see, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's 116. It's 115. Yeah, no, that's about right. 118. Yep. So we'll go ahead and install these and then put our cams in and then remeasure. But before we do that, since I have some damage to my cylinder head here, I'm going to try to see if I can repair, or shouldn't say repair, but just lightly sand down the surface where it's damaged here. And you want to make sure that you have all your dowels. Looks like this one only has two locating dowel pins. But pretty much what we're going to do, we're not really going to remove any material here. We're just going to remove the top where the cam plate actually mates against the cylinder head surface. And that's going to be kind of critical there. And then we can just hit it with a little bit of carb clean. So I'm just going to do this right here. Let's see, can you still see? Yep, good. All right, cool. So have a little bit of damage right here. Let's go ahead and pull this. It's kind of stuck in there. Take some of our Nipix. All right, pull that out. Don't forget to put it back in, and then just go ahead and put a couple. We're just knocking this burr off here, so our cap kind of goes down flush, and we get a correct valve adjustment reading. With this big burr right here from it being worn, it was fine when it was all together, but now that we've taken it apart, it may not sit in the right way, and so this has to be done at least at minimum. Now, I've heard a lot of problems with Kawasaki top ends. They're notorious for dropping valves. I've seen this happen on quite a few Kawasaki's where, this just the cam, the cylinder head, the cam plate, and the cams just get wiped out. Probably just, engineering or design flaw, lack of lubrication. Maybe this bike's never been ran low on oil and was never ridden hard. Maybe it's just, that's just the Kawasaki for you. Let's go ahead and kind of almost just 45, putting like a 45-degree chamfer. Don't want to remove too much material, just want to take off that lip so I can seat the cylinder head down. Looks like this one's okay. A little bit of, it's like where the dowel pins are is where it seems to have the most, maybe that's where it's twisting. I'm not sure. It's kind of weird though. Let me take that one out too. I'm noticing where specifically on the cam plate where the dowel pin, where the locating dowel pins are. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's pretty fucked. And you can't replace the cam plate, the cylinder head that mounts to the engine, and the cam plate are machined. They're bore drilled from the factory for alignment. So even if you were to buy a used one and try to put it on, the cams still have a potential for seizing because it's probably gonna be a couple thousandths off regardless. And just from the amount of wear, I'm gonna say the cylinder head should probably be replaced. And if the cylinder head looks like this, I can only imagine what the piston and cylinder looks like. The crankshaft bearings, transmission, who knows? And I did, when I ran the compression, I'll have to refer back to the video. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember it being sufficient. This does have an automatic um, decompression assembly mechanism on the exhaust cam. Let's see if I can kind of activate it. How do you activate this bad boy? Looks like, should be springing open. Interesting. Maybe I'm just not doing it correctly. Ah, there we go. Gotta like pull at the same time. So this mechanism right here will hold the exhaust valve open just ever so slightly. And once it gets up to, operating speed, that mechanism right there will disengage, and basically it won't be holding the exhaust valve open all the way. And that's this contact point right here is what's actually holding the valve open. And it does that on the opposite. So like, what is that? About 180 degrees out from when it's actually engaging the valve and pressing it down. So just opposite of top dead center. I think it'd be like, 180 degrees off. Okay. So that doesn't look too bad. Go ahead and spray just a little bit of carb clean on it. Okay. So that's about as good as that's going to get. I don't really want to remove any material here. There's really no point. If it's seizing or was, the damage has already been done, there's nothing I can do except, to make the valve adjustment as good as possible. We want to have flat surfaces here when we mount this cap on. So not only are we going to do a light filing on the cam cap, we're going to also do a light filing on the cylinder head. And this went like that. In our hardware here, you can see like on this bolt right here, just like kind of like the oil and, a little bit of sludge building up. It's probably like aluminum, but, and then while you're at it, just go ahead and wipe down the surfaces where the hardware, where the bolts that hold down this cam cap go. So that way they're nice and flush. All right. The surface right here, nice and clean. Good enough. And you can see this is oil. These are oil lubricating holes here. And they look like they're not obstructed or anything. So, I mean, unless this thing had just low oil pressure from not having enough oil in it, that's the only way I could see this bike being starved of oil. Let's see, how does it even pressurize those oil ports right there? Can't tell, that's an oil jacket. Oh, okay, through here. So it looks like oil gets fed in through here. That's probably like a high pressure port, and then it gravity feeds, low pressure through those oil holes there, and then back down. Okay, that makes sense. So that would basically be, that's our oil hole right there. That's where the oil's coming out of to pressurize the cam, keep it lubricated. You can see we have a nice burr right there, a nice burr right there, big burr and a big burr. So this thing's kind of yikes. All right, we'll just do a light wiping of our parts here. These are all used, so not a big deal. We don't have to like do anything crazy. The service manual will say to apply a molybdenum disulfide solution, which is basically just oil and grease. That's if you're installing with new parts. If you just want to use like a light oil or just even the engine oil to install it, that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and at this point, go ahead and start filing the head to prepare it, and then we can go ahead and install our cams in, our shims, our buckets, lifters, cams, and then put the chain back on and do the timing. Let's see. Okay. So now we can kind of see. All right, let's go ahead and just see if we can touch up these surfaces here. And so most of this, there's oil in the head, so a lot of it's going to get kind of, mixed in with the oil. It's just kind of how it is. Do an oil change. That's probably going to be your best way to get all these little filings out since they're not magnetic. It's aluminum, obviously. And we're just removing a little bit too. Like I said, just to put a little bit of a 45-degree chamfer to take off those high burrs. Got one right here. Yeah, this one right here is kind of thick. So I told the customer, damn, there's still like a lip on that one. These all have like a little lip. So I did tell the customer that the cams here, I sent him pictures and let him know basically it's, I'm thinking the bike should still run. I've seen this before, it has good enough compression. The only thing I can't guarantee is how long it's going to run for before more than likely the cams are going to seize. If, it all depends. Maybe the bottom end's in a little bit worse condition, then maybe that'll seize or go first. But um, basically from seeing the damage here to the top end. It's only a matter of time before this top end right here, or the engine goes. Holy cow. Thing that sucks is I'm not even gonna, without this surfaces being smooth here, I won't be able to put the cam down completely flat. Try to use a just clean out the little dust where the shims are gonna sit. Kind of is what it is. Try to wipe out. This is a locating journal right here for the camshaft. Want to clean that out of any oil debris. Do that on the intake side too. Looks like we still gotta hit the intake side a little bit better on. So that should be good on the exhaust side. Let's go ahead and hit the intake side. And I hate doing this to a cylinder head. This is like, I know it's messed up, but you know, we already spent so much money on buying this bike. Who knows how much the customer paid for this, and you know how much he's investing into it with me. And then here we are doing a valve adjustment, assuming, okay, you know, hopefully it's not in bad condition. And now we're finding out, you know, this top end's pretty much got some major wear going on here. Okay, looks like one more to knock off. I think right here, this is like a big one. Okay, I think that should be good enough to get our cams back in and our shims. Let's go ahead and wipe down the surface a little bit. And we would just hope that most of, you know, whatever chips that we just kind of filed off, those are going to be picked up in the oil and go through the oil filter and hopefully get collected, but shouldn't cause any more damage than what's already been done. And in normal situations, you would not need to do this. This is just something, you know, I've kind of picked up over the years with these top ends. When they get significant damage like this is kind of like, you know, just doing a makeshift repair to try to get a little bit more time out of it. But pretty much, you know, this motor is probably not going to last very long. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Let's go ahead and put our shims in now. All right, so we'll start with the intake side, and I like to put the numbers facing upwards. There we go, boom. And I'm just spraying a light oil. Okay. All right. Here's the other intake facing the numbers upwards. Okay, we do the exhaust. Exhausts are both the same shim size, so doesn't really matter. Go ahead and spray both of them. Put a little bit of light oil. Okay. All right, boom. Got all of our shims in. Now we can go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and start by putting the exhaust cam in. So just go ahead and same thing, put a little bit of oil on this, and we can see the timing marks here. We have the exhaust, so we're gonna want the exhaust to be horizontal with our cylinder head mating surface. So what I'll do is typically pull the cam chain kind of tight. Go ahead and stick this cam in right here. And we're assuming our crankshaft timing hasn't changed. If you come up right here, there it is. Oops. Don't need the wire anymore. So it looks like we need to go about 1 tooth down, where the timing mark's just a little too retarded. Needs to be advanced by 1 tooth. And boom, there we go. Exhaust cam is nicely lined up flush. So now we can go ahead and just let the timing chain fall down. Should be good. Another thing that doesn't hurt is, while you're at it, to just make sure, verify your crankshaft timing hasn't moved. And I can see there the timing mark still there, looking good. Yeah, that's the T. There's like a line and then a T that's like kind of perpendicular or horizontal, should I say? That's right next to it. Very hard to see, but it's right there. So timing on the crankshaft hasn't changed, so we could assume that's correct. And if you also look from the back side there, you can see there's timing marks on the back of the sprocket too. They're not marked with numbers or letters, but you can see that it's perpendicular with the cylinder head, so that's good right there. Go ahead and take our intake cam. Just put a little bit of oil on it. And then same thing, we're going to want this intake mark here where it has the IN. We want that to be just a little bit, it wasn't perpendicular when we originally took it out, so it's not going to go in. It was a little retarded, but the whole thing is to have 32 links or pins from the exhaust mark to the intake mark. So go ahead and pull our cam chain kind of tight. And you might have to try this a couple different times. See where we're at. Ooh, kind of tight. Okay, let's see where we're at. So exhaust good. Ooh, I think I got it on the first try. Did I get it? Or is it? No, I might be a tooth off. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 31. So I need to go one more tooth. I want to say I got to go one more tooth. It's like right in between. But yeah, I'm thinking we'll put it in the way that we had it before, because that's technically closer. That's only 31. We need to go 32. So we'll kind of pull it back out again and then just slip it one tooth. And if we take a look, oh, looks like we went in the wrong direction there. So we're back to where we were originally. Go. And there we go. So now that end mark is more lined up with that pin. So we got one pin there, and then all those other links, which are two, and then that one pin. So 31, 32, that looks good. And our intake cam's just a little bit more retarded, like how it originally was. So I'm going to say that's good there. And I also realized too that on this model cylinder head, it hasn't it's not uh, like it's a tensioner. It's spring loaded. There's a lower one here. I guess the cam chain guide is a little long, so to have a little bit additional pressure, Kawasaki has an additional spring here, so that's why it was keeping good tension on the cam chain here when I originally took it off. So when you go ahead and after you get the chain on the exhaust cam, you'll just have to kind of pull the chain to compress that spring. I don't know if I wouldn't say you have to take it out. I didn't need to. You just need to pull it back, and then you should be able to get the timing right. So that's pretty much it on that. Now we can go ahead and install our cam caps and go ahead and torque that down into place. Oh, where's my... I haven't seen it in a minute. It should be in my truck. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the cam cap. It's already been kind of cleaned and wiped down. And we're just going to go ahead and spray some oil in the journals. Just kind of help. We can just take this and set it down on top here. Fits pretty nice. Okay. And we can take our hardware, and in the service manual, it doesn't specify putting any oil on the threads or on the bolt head. Some manufacturers do suggest that, so we're gonna, since it doesn't, it just has a tightening sequence, we're going to just go ahead and wipe down all the bolts so they're nice and clean. And you want to pay attention, there are two bolts that are a little bit longer than the rest when you go ahead and install those. And it should be obvious when you put them in if it's too short or too long. They should all have about the same distance of head sticking out after you just set them in there. So just put these two. Okay. Take these two. This is the shorter one on the left, longer one on the right. So shorter one, longer one. And once again, two short ones. Okay. And then the last two, long one on the left and the short one on the right. Okay, good. So technically, in theory now, if we want to, oh, do you know what I just realized? Ooh, almost made a little mistake here. Almost forgot one important thing. Okay, so before we put on the cam caps, let's go ahead and put our dowels back in. Let's put a little bit of oil on them. Looks like there's two. There's going to be one right here. Just press that in, and then one right here on the intake. Doesn't want to fit in that way, maybe this way. There we go, boom. So now we can go ahead and take our cam cap. Now we can go ahead and set this on. Okay, kind of get it over the dowels. There it goes, boom. Try not to pinch your gasket. All right, and then just kind of thread those bolts on by hand. All right, cool. Those all feel like they're going in. Check the timing one more time. Yep, exhaust lined up, intake lined up, good and good, 32 teeth. So now I'll just kind of speed things up. I like to. I'm not going to cinch them down. I'm just going to stop them. And we'll follow the order. 1, and then 2, and then, what is it? I think 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then let's see, 6, and then 7, then 8, then start all over. 1, then let's see, 2, then 3, then 5, then 6, 7, then 8. All right, and we're just lightly seeing it down. I'm not torquing it. And as you can see there, the cam caps fully seated. Lobes are facing up and away like they should be. Crankshaft timing has not changed. So everything's looking good. Now we can just go ahead and get our torque wrench, and then we can go ahead and torque down those the cam cap plate bolts in the sequence that's on the cap here. It's pretty simple. Just follow the order that we've been going, 1, 2 to number 8. And I believe the torque is 12 Newton meters. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my torque wrench. We're going to torque those right now. All right. We're going to start another one, 44 minutes. Showing what? Yep, that's it. We'll come right back.